Okay, yesterday, representatives of Iran, China, France, Germany, Russia, and the United Kingdom convened in Vienna to resume talks to revive Iran's 2015 nuclear deal, which the Trump administration had pulled out of back in 2018. Now, according to reports, U.S. representatives participated indirectly in the newest round of talks with the goal of returning to the 2015 agreement, which some Israeli leaders claim gave Iran billions that it used to fund terror groups across the Middle East. In a video message to the nations negotiating in Vienna, Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett urged allies not to give in to Iran's nuclear blackmail. Now, what can we expect from this latest round of talks? What are the concessions that U.S. will have to give to re-enter? And is it worth re-entering? Joining me now to talk about this is Congressman Mike Waltz. He's a member of the House Armed Services Committee and a decorated Special Forces officer with multiple combat tours in Afghanistan, the Middle East, and Africa. He serves the 6th Congressional District of Florida. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Hey, good to be with you, Tony. Thanks. And hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
I did. It was. It's one of my favorite holidays. It's always peaceful. It's not too commercialized, which is what I like about it. But sure, we're back to work now, and as we're talking here in Vienna, the reconvening of voices to try to resurrect this tattered nuclear agreement with Iran. And I have a quick clip of the White House press secretary saying, hey, this is what we want. We want to get back in this. Play a clip of the White House.
Our objective has not changed. It remains a mutual return to full compliance with the JCPOA. This is the best available option to restrict Iran's nuclear program and provide a platform to address Iran's destabilizing conduct.
All right, Congressman Waltz, is that true? Is this the best way to keep checks, keep tabs on Iran's nuclear capabilities? And what do we have to do to re-enter it?
Well, Tony, I think it's worth just a quick recap on why President Trump withdrew us from that deal. There's 3 components to a nuclear program: the actual fissile material, the weaponization of the warhead, and then the ballistic missiles. The Iran deal only dealt with one of those components, the fissile material, and it did so badly with a very weak inspection regime. It's kind of like, if you had a parole officer and a parolee, and the parole officer had to give a month's notice before they could come check their house, and then they could only check one bedroom in the house. That's essentially what the inspection program was. We had to give the Iranians a lot of notice. There were no surprise inspections, and they couldn't check their military bases. So it was weak to begin with, not to mention the fact that it didn't cover the ballistic missiles, it didn't cover terrorism, and it didn't cover the fact that the Iranians today are holding Americans hostage in their notorious Evin prison. So that's why President Trump withdrew. He put on a maximum pressure campaign. The Iranian regime was reeling because of it. Their economy was in the tank. They couldn't afford to pay their terrorist proxies. And they, frankly, couldn't afford a lot of their program. But now the Biden administration wants to go from maximum pressure to maximum concessions. It's a weak approach. They are going to give away everything they can with the hope that the Iranians will come back to the table. The new Iranian regime, which is even harder line than the last one, smells that weakness and thinks they're going to get a total lifting of sanctions, tons of cash, and even have to give up less than they did under Obama. But unfortunately, that's the road. This same team that is around Biden was the same one that's around Obama. And it is, what can we give away? What can we concede? How much can we give in order to get some kind of deal at any cost? And the entire world sees it and smells it.
Now, Congressman, as I understand it, there are several different sanctions that have been placed against Iran. What Iran is saying, they want all sanctions, even those that are unrelated to the nuclear agreement, to be lifted. So this is a windfall for the Iranians if the Biden administration agrees to their terms to re-enter a deal that was ineffective to begin with.
Well, that's absolutely right. Again, the Iranian regime smells the opportunity. By the way, the new Iranian president criticized his predecessor for entering into the Obama's nuclear deal, of saying they didn't even get enough back then, even though we literally gave them pallets of cash, lifted sanctions, allowed European companies to do business there, and got very little in return. Again, a suspension partially, which, by the way, that suspension would have been lifted in just a few years anyway, with the sunset provisions and a very weak sanctions regime. Instead, what they should be doing is what the Trump administration was doing, was the full maximum pressure. The thing the Iranian regime cares about the most is its money, is its wallet, are the many businesses that the IRGC and others enrich themselves on. All of those we had a stranglehold on them, and we're this close. I guarantee you, if Trump had been reelected, they would have come back to the table from a position of weakness, and we would have gotten that full comprehensive deal. But the Biden administration's about to just give it all away again, like they did under Obama. And Tony, very quickly, why does this matter to so many of your listeners and viewers? Why does this matter to everyday Americans? Well, if Iran gets the bomb, they've already said Israel should be wiped off the face of the earth, and the rest of the Middle East is going to get one too. Saudi Arabia is going to get one. Turkey is going to get one. We are going to have a nuclear arms race in the middle of the Middle East, and that should scare every American. That would destabilize the entire world.
Well, you were reading my mind in terms of how this applies to our listeners, because there's even more to that. As you talk about their being able to get the cash into their wallets, not only will they be able to enrich themselves, but this is how they can pay their terrorist proxies. So given the weakness that America has shown in Afghanistan, this could become you would see terrorism flourish literally around the world, with the center point being Iran.
Well, you already have what I call an axis of terror, from Hamas and Hezbollah on the borders of Israel to parts of Iraq that ISIS is still, and Syria, where ISIS is still trying to reemerge, to Iran, and now to the Taliban caliphate in Afghanistan, supported by Pakistan. And unleashing the sanctions will only pour fuel on the fire. By the way, you have the Taliban caliphate trying to get billions unfrozen as well, and we're seeing the Biden administration starting to give on that. So you will be literally pouring cash into the belly of the beast of terrorism. And meanwhile, while we should be focused on China and the threat that is, we're going to have to shift back into the Middle East because of bad and frankly idiotic policy from this White House. And
unnecessary. Totally unnecessary.
Yeah. Like everything else from this administration, a self-inflicted wound.
Right. You're absolutely right. Congressman Waltz, we're out of time. Didn't even get to Nigeria. That's another conversation we need to have as well. Thanks so much for joining us. Always great to talk with you. And I like the beard, by the way.
Hey, thanks, Tony. I served in Nigeria. Happy to have that conversation with you.
Look forward to it.